Hello there, welcome to Five Figures. Today I'm looking at some DC figures that don't suck. I looked at some of the DC icons and they suck. These are DC classics, they don't suck. They are actually fantastic. I'm a big fan of DC classics, even though I am not the biggest DC guy by any means, and I even have a bunch of characters, I don't even know their names, it doesn't matter, they are amazing figures. But these I do. So I'm going to start off with Dove here. She is from Hawk and Dove. I don't know what her power set is. I can't remember much more than that. I know I have a couple of the comics, but I haven't really gotten into them. But it's pretty standard articulation for a DC Classics, and I'll tell you what that is. You get this weird gapped thigh, crotch gap thing that almost all of them do. It's like a weird hinge that runs on the inside instead of just a ball joint. That is like their only point of weirdness to me, and I'm pretty fine with that. It doesn't really bother me aesthetically. You get a thigh cut, but it is not at the top of the thigh like you'd think it should be. It's always lower on the thigh, and so anytime you turn it, it is a little bit wonky looking. You get a pretty much straight right angle on your knees, single joint, and then you get like a pretty good rocker pivot on your ankle, but it doesn't like twist. Most of them have an ab crunch, not all. Some, your mileage may vary on how they work. Another somewhat odd feature I've noticed about all DC icons is, all DC classics, is that their faces tend to be fairly flat, especially on the women. So that's pretty much your articulation with Dove, and that's what you're looking for. And this is like the same buck that they used on a lot of them. Mary Marvel here has pretty similar articulation, except that she does not have an ab crunch just because of her particular outfit. But you can see what I'm talking about with the kind of the flat face. I'm not sure if Four Horsemen sculpted these, but I know like I collect the Mattel's Motu Classics, and they often have a very similar appearance, and it makes me wonder if Four Horsemen didn't mold these as well. But, all in all, very well executed figure. Very happy with it. Our Man? Am I right on that? No, Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate, okay. This is pretty typical for the male body. You get a pretty moderate ab crunch. Here is the version of the weird cutaway hip. You can see it's more obvious on males and it's weird. But their choice of thigh cut, like so far down the leg, is still odd. But you do get always at least a 90, and you get a nice ankle pivot, even though it doesn't rock. And that's pretty standard for Mattel stuff. You get a nice ball joint at the shoulder, upper bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, and like a wrist rotation. Which I know there's figures that do more than that these days, but I'm pretty happy with these. Aesthetically, I still think these figures hold up probably as good as anything they did, and I really respect the fact that they line up so well with my Marvel Legends in size, because obviously that's who I want to have them hanging out with. Sandman here, this is classic Sandman, and this is a flippin' sweet figure, just all the way around. The way it's done, everything is good. You don't get an ab crunch. I think it might still be in there, but you can't really utilize it because of his rubber jacket. But you have to say, this is a pretty gorgeous figure for what it is. And, I was going to look for a date on this guy. If I can see it. I can't. Okay. I can't remember how old these are. I know they were making them like 2010. So I can't remember what year this guy was made, but now we're talking like these figures are 10 years old. Do they still hold up? A lot of them do. Probably, oddly enough, one of the better that turned out was this Kamandi figure. Let's see if I can read a date on him. Doesn't look like it. Nope, no date. Mattel Incorporated, but they didn't put a date on it. Well, that's sad. Anyway, stop trying to read the fine print. He's got the best example of all of the articulation that I talked about earlier. He's got the best ab crunch. Great ball jointed shoulders, all this stuff. He looks like a 90s rocker, but he's Kamandi, the last kid on Earth or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the comic strip is. But this is a flippin' great figure. If you ever need like a rock and roller in your action figure set, that's him. So, yeah. DC Classics, yes, they're getting old. Yes, they're not as good as some of the stuff nowadays. But you know what? I still haven't found anything I like better to compare with my Marvel Legends, and DC still hasn't put out anything better. I really do love the new McFarlane stuff, but it just doesn't scale the same, and that makes me a little bit sad. But that's besides the point. I think Mattel actually did a really good job with these, and it's sad that they don't make them anymore, but what are you going to do? Anyway, that's my story, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.